Welcome to the Voice of Vicious podcast. Welcome to the Voice of Vicious. I am your host, Vany Vicious. Guys, I'm sweating. Look at me on a microphone, bro. What the fuck? Hello, everybody.
What a great way to start the show.
Welcome to the Voice of Vicious podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in. I am your host, Vany Vicious. I'm here with Mr. Rabbits305.
Gene.
Thank you guys for tuning in to the Twitch stream. We are live right now on Twitch. You can catch this episode and all new episodes every Friday on YouTube, Rumble, and Spotify under Voice of Vicious. Same as our Twitter, same as our Facebook, same as our Instagram. So make sure you guys are following us everywhere.
Merchandise coming soon.
Oh shit, we gotta think about that.
I think we should. It's time.
It's time.
T-shirts.
4 episodes in, it's time.
4 episodes in, I'm already thinking T-shirts,
right. Hats,
collectibles,
coasters, koozies,
vinyl. We should always
stickers,
vinyl toys. The Vany Vicious vinyl toy doll.
Yes,
available.
sir.
Yeah, it's about this big, glows in the dark. You know, it has little peel-on tattoos.
Nobody wants it unless it has like a hole in it that they can put their wiener in.
You know, so years ago, I was gonna actually make a rabbit. And I was going to make a rabbit based on the rabbit. You all know the rabbit because it's that toy. You know, you flick it and it has little marbles and it has a little bunny. I was like, I want to put my bunny on top of that. So I was like, it was like the Field of Dreams things. It's like, if you build it, they will come. Mm-hmm. Ba-dum-bum. Did you get that double entendre?
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So I sat there and I was like, I'm going to do it. I did all the research and I was like, you know what? This is a thing. And, people were about it and everything. And then I finally found a manufacturer, found everything. And they wanted me to order 10,000 pieces as a minimum. And I was like, I'm done.
No,
That's it.
No,
I lived the dream.
I'm sure
good.
there's places now that'll do it one by one and just they'll take a percentage or whatever.
I think it had its moment. And I think it lives here. No, I don't think it'll ever pass. Maybe in the future. But for now, it's an idea.
I get it.
But it's like, it's like... oh yeah, you're that guy that made this, which I really don't care, like I'm all about it. But at the same time I was like, let me explore some other concepts. But
I used to enjoy having so much merch. I feel like I'm the self-proclaimed merch queen, and I was for a while because I had my ass on everything.
I had your poster actually.
Yeah.
It was so funny because I had 2 posters from you, and so I went through this period where any of my friends that were creators, I would always like buy their stuff. So from you, I had the milk pouring one, and
old school.
Yes, and I remember because you were wearing a friend of mine who was Italian, who was a tattoo artist, loved you were wearing Air Maxes.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember, and he's like, those Air Maxes. I'm like, look at her ass, not the sneakers, my guy. But
I love the Nike.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had so much fucking merch, and I stopped doing so much because I felt like it was so. Like, it was like, for me, it was like one more thing to promote. Like, fuck, now I have to promote my OnlyFans, all my social media accounts, which I have multiple. Yeah. Like, one for modeling, one for fitness, one for a day in the life, one for this, one for that. And I'm like, now I also have to promote merch. Like, I don't know, it was a lot. I still sell posters, but...
Well, it was funny because I remember I'd be like, in the middle of the night, like, I would wake up and it was like 4 a.m. I'm like, Vany, are you up? You need to make this. Remember, I would do that all the time.
Yes, I'm up. Of course I'm up.
Yeah.
Vampire life.
Exactly.
I mean...
But yeah, you're right. Having another thing to promote must have been a crazy thing. I still think that there's a market, especially now because now direct-to-garment printing, like this is direct-to-garment.
Yeah. It makes
Look
it,
at that.
Yeah.
This is great. It's a Poltergeist t-shirt. You like that, huh? Yes.
Yeah, it's good.
So anyway, there is more of a future in it now where you can do smaller numbers, but I digress. What I do really like that I touched upon, I do realize the other day I try to look you up on social and you have a lot of accounts.
I do. And
it's funny because I always wonder if some of those accounts are just people trolling you, or is it like is that Vany or is that not really Vany?
Okay, so all of my accounts that are actually mine, first of all, like if anyone says, hey, there's a fake account of you and they send it to me, I immediately report it.
Yeah.
The good thing about being verified on Instagram is that if you report a page for copying you or whatever pretending to be you, they immediately take it down.
Oh snap. Okay.
So I don't know if that happens if you pay for the verification, like the meta verification, but I never paid for that. Like I actually got verified years ago. So they immediately take it down, so that's good. But most of my accounts that are actually me are in my main page's bio.
Okay.
So that's how you know. So like I have official Vany Vicious, the main one. I have the Vany Vicious, which is my backup. Vany V Fit, which is all gym stuff.
Okay.
The podcast one, Voice of Vicious podcast, and then my stores. I have Throwback Garage, Sacred Mob. I have 2 for Sacred Mob for some fucking reason, and then my dogs have their own Instagram.
Will there be a Cooking with Vicious pretty soon?
No, I'm not starting any more Instagrams.
That's it?
Ever. And
Okay.
then I also have Vany la Bruja, which that page is private, and I only add women on that page because I feel like sometimes I just need a break from
The sweaties.
male energy.
And speaking of sweaty male energy, can we go through your DMs right now and find the thirsty comment of the day?
Oh wait, we have.
Oh gosh.
Let me see.
Huh?
Tito, coño, te veo Vany Vicious.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, he says Instagram helps you too if you pay for it. Yeah. So
Oh, okay.
that's a positive, I guess, about paying for the verification.
I
I mean, there's other positives too.
Yeah.
Like you're able to contact support and whatever,
Yeah.
get help, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, fuck them fake pages. That shit ain't me. I'll never
Yeah.
DM you guys on some fucking buy my content shit, like ever.
No. Actually, your content is actually very organic in that sense. I feel because it's like it's there if you want it. If not, fuck off.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah. Basically.
Yeah. So yeah, here we are.
Here we are. Episode number 4.
The 4th episode. Who would have thought 20 years ago walking in to buy some tattoo supplies and being like, could I buy this? Here you go.
So I think we should tell our viewers a little bit about us.
Yes.
Forever, if anyone doesn't know, I had to do that because of the fake profiles. It's a hot mess, Tito. It's a disaster.
What,
out
the
there.
fake profiles?
Yeah, like verify his page because of the fake profiles. So my friend Tito is a spiritualist.
Okay.
We actually met through TikTok.
Nice.
Yeah, and now he's my best friend for life.
Oh my goodness, that's always good.
Yeah, he's like famous on TikTok and shit.
So funny enough, I've actually had the pleasure of meeting a lot of very cool people globally through social media. I have a friend of mine who's up in Vienna, and I have a friend of mine who's in Italy, another one who's in Spain, friends in India, funny enough.
Yeah.
And it's crazy how many people you meet and they're like your deepest supporters sometimes and they haven't even met you in real life. It is a thing. At
Like,
100. Cheers to y'all.
Do you know the model OnlyFans creator Heidi Lavon? She has 10 million followers on TikTok.
Yes.
Heidi and I have been friends for 10 plus years. We talk all the time. We text. We fucking whatever. Never met in person.
You're kidding me. I always swear up and down.
And like we get along on some like we're the OGs shit. Like,
Yeah.
Cause her and I are like back then tattoo magazines, all that shit. Like, yeah, we've never met.
What
in
was
person.
your first magazine?
Savage.
That was a good old magazine. I remember.
Savage magazine.
I remember because it was Savage was spicy, and then Outlaw Biker was straight like.
I remember that one.
Do you remember? Well, that was Casey
Yeah.
Exton back in the
Yeah.
day. He was the guy that would go around all the conventions and
Ask for pictures.
Yeah, exactly. So we spoke about that on an earlier show, but you and I met because at the time, early in my tattoo career, the only place to buy supplies, at least that I knew of at the time, was where you were working at, which was
Leo's Tattoo in Hialeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's our origin story. This is how Assad and I met. We met pre-social media era. We met in person, like 2 actual fucking humans. I used to work in a tattoo shop called Leo's. I used to pierce there. For those who know, I used to do piercings back in the day.
You had a small stint as a tattoo artist too.
Yeah, for like a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I pierced for like 10. And the shop that I used to work at sold tattoo supplies. This was like back in the day, like a little ghetto, a little ratchet, whatever.
But it was fun. I mean, Leo was a Brazilian gentleman who was always the happiest to see you, apparently, like high on life.
He was like, Leo to me is like an uncle.
Yes.
Like,
yeah, I got that vibe.
He was very like father figure, uncle figure. Like he taught me everything that I know when it comes to like tattoo shops, like everything. He taught me how to pierce. He taught me how to run a shop. He taught me how to have like, he even instilled in me like that certain attitude you need to have. Tito's writing, "You're piercing my tetas." And he also says hello. He's gonna be on the show too.
Yeah, most definitely. Where's he at?
He's in Miami.
Oh, get out of here. Okay, cool. All right,
So
that's neat.
He's closer to your area.
Right on. Yeah, that's right. We're an undisclosed location somewhere in Miami.
Yeah. South Florida. So
keep
yeah,
him guessing.
like Leo fucking taught me like even the demeanor you should have back in the day, because I feel like now tattoo shops are way more professional. But back then, you had to have a certain grit about you to be able to deal with clients, especially in the areas that we were in. And he taught me everything.
I think you carried yourself in the best way possible. I almost wish for some of the people that run and have shops now to go back in time and to see what the industry was 20 years ago when I was entering it, and you were in it. I think you needed you walked a certain way and you carried yourself a certain way, and that was for the good of yourself and the good of your industry, and the good of your shop, more importantly. And I think definitely, things that we overlooked back in the day, oh, that's such and such, or whatever, that's just the place where you go, now are things that we speak about it with a little bit of reverence, because they're just not, things are so much different anymore. Mm-hmm. Like there wasn't like, oh, you're coming to buy supplies, who'd you come with, what shop are you at, or like respecting the people. It wasn't like how it is now. Now it's a buyer's market. Back then it was a seller's market. Mm-hmm. You had to act your age when you came in the shop, and if you didn't, you got dealt with.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you saw a lot of that.
I can't believe how young I was.
You were...
I was 18.
Yeah.
Like, well, I do you know how I met Leo?
No.
This is how I got started in the tattoo week. And Tito says this week, prepáranse bruji talk.
Okay, yeah. Right on.
Tito tira carta, he does all the things.
Right on.
So I met Leo because when I was turning 17 years old, I decided that I wanted to get tattooed, and I decided I wanted to learn how to pierce and be in the industry in some way.
What was the first one?
Stars on my back. They're covered. Yeah.
Okay.
So after school one day, was it after? No, just kidding. I graduated high school at 17 years old, and I started going to Beauty School of America in Hialeah on 49th Street.
Shout out.
And I wanted to be a makeup artist.
Yeah. And
they didn't have a makeup program at the time. And I saw this little tattoo shop in the back of a dry cleaner on 49th Street in Hialeah.
Okay.
There was a dry cleaner. It wasn't like in the back of the dry cleaner. It was a separate entity in the back of this dry cleaner. And I just see the door says tattoos going down. And I was like, oh, interesting. I walked into that bitch, just turned 17.
Uh-huh.
I see Leo. Uh-huh. I'm like, hi, I want to learn how to pierce.
Okay.
And he's like, okay. And he's like, how old are you? And I'm like, 17. And he's like, I'll teach you, but you can't work in a shop until you're 18. I'm like, I will practice until I'm 18 then. And literally he gave me this suitcase, metal suit. He used to sell them, the piercing kits.
I remember them, yeah.
It had a certain amount of clamps in it, different size needles, jewelry, whatever, corks.
Yeah.
Fucking a tube of A&D to make it slide.
Oh, God. See, two of the things that I do...
The lube of A&D.
Yeah. Or I'm surprised you didn't get the surgical lubricant.
No.
Do you remember that? It came in a toothpaste thing?
Yeah, no. It was A&D in a toothpaste thing.
Yeah.
And so he gave me this kit, and I went there every day after beauty school, and I would spend hours practicing piercings on fruits and fake body parts and things, and he would just show me like whatever. And I started catching on like fast, because I mean, let's be real, piercing is not rocket fucking science. Whatever. And then
you're gonna get so many angry complaints by
it's not, I don't give a fuck. Oof. Like, it's not, I did it for a really long time, like, and it's riding a bicycle to me. You give whatever.
Can you still? And
yeah, of course. It's not like I'm not gonna all of a sudden be shaky as fuck and forget like whatever. So yeah, I went every day after school, and he taught me every day. And then eventually he's like, bring your friends, like now you need some guinea pigs. And I guinea'd the fuck out of my friends for a long time, and I brought them in to do their belly buttons, their fucking eyebrows, lips, tongues, whatever. And he guided me through it. One time I got a little scared, and I was like, I can't. And he took over and finished the piercing for me. Other than that, it was fine. Then as soon as I turned 18, he gave me a job. Yeah.
Was this the location? This wasn't the 183rd Street one. This was
yeah. So when I proved my skill there, Tito says that's why she's piercing my tetas.
Okay.
When I proved my skill, I guess, or whatever, and proved I wasn't scared anymore, then he put me in his other location, which was on 183rd Street and 27th Avenue in Carroll City.
And that's where you earned your stripes.
And this is where the attitude had to come into play, and the balls of working in a tattoo shop. I guess.
If you were by the Carroll Mart,
literally next door. Not in the Carroll Mart, in the same shopping center.
So Carroll...
That doesn't exist anymore.
No. I think that actually got torn down and turned into like a Walmart or something.
It's like a TJ Maxx or some shit.
Crazy,
it looks beautiful now. Shout out to Carroll City for
one time. Well, yeah. You went. I remember it was one of those deals where it was a rite of passage. So if you were a tattoo artist and, you could either buy supplies, but if you needed something then and there, you basically made the pilgrimage and you kind of planned out your day. You went and got, supplies. Then you either ate at Snappers or Royal Castle. I got measured for my gold teeth.
Upstairs.
I remember. Yeah.
Dr. Kelly.
Yes, sir.
Shout out Dr. Kelly.
6-pack to the bottom, If you were a player, you got them to the bottom. If you were a thug, you got them to the top.
I still have mine.
So do I.
But mine weren't full. They were like this tooth, the bridge, and then the other.
So we should do the gold teeth. We should do an episode where we're wearing the teeth.
Mine don't fit me anymore because I got Invisalign since then.
I think my teeth have shifted since then. So but I'm sure I'll figure it out.
I wonder. No, he's probably not. No, he's not there anymore. That whole building is changed.
That whole area, it's very interesting because a lot of the neighborhoods. So it was very interesting because if you were in our industry, you definitely went. You had been to Coco's at least once. You had been to the Rolex.
I never been there, but I tattooed.
Everybody
everyone that went there.
You knew a tattoo artist named Animal that was out from the city. You knew Rob G.
Yes. Familiar.
Calvin from Tough Tattoos, Gino, who was out there at the time, and that was basically like everybody knew that was the area, and that was kind of like your weird street pedigree of like you knew all those places, you'd been all the places, and then obviously the Flea down south, and that was a whole nother thing. But you kind of cut your teeth in a very interesting thing because it was like I was in it.
Huh? I was in it.
You were in the shit.
In the thick of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it was fun.
Tell me the story about the parking lot.
Which one?
So you told me sometimes that they'd have to use it as a...
Oh, yeah. So, like, we're talking about back in the day, there was, like, shootings all the fucking time, stabbings, fights, whatever. And there was multiple times where paramedics and shit would come in and be like, you guys got to move your cars out of the parking lot, move your cars. And we'd have to run out and move our cars so helicopters could land and airlift people to the hospital, which that would happen pretty often. Very often we had people who would come in and instead of leaving cash deposits for tattoos, they'd leave us watches and shit. I got this here, hold it, like draw my tattoo, whatever.
I remember that, and I also remember people would come in and like be like, hey, I have this watch or this chain, and what can I get?
Yeah.
So then we'd have to sit there and be like, it was always like an arrangement. But I mean, I remember it was either, and it sounds funny and some people don't believe it, but it was either jewelry, drugs, or guns that were always like the things. It was always either I'll smoke you out or what do you want?
Listen, I still to this day appreciate a good barter.
Amen.
Amen. I'm with it still.
You learn a lot of things and you see a lot of people, from different walks of life and different things, and you meet a lot of cool things. And then from there you worked, and then was the modeling came parallel to that, or?
Modeling came because I used to go to tattoo conventions when I worked in the tattoo shop. Obviously, I was at all the conventions, mostly the ones in South Florida, and Tito's like, bro, what? Yeah, bro.
A lot of people,
you don't even know, boo-boo. I started going to all the tattoo conventions and whatever the fuck, and one day there was a tattoo convention photographer just walking around taking pictures of random shit, like just assigned to cover the convention, and some guy was like, hey, can I take a picture of your arm, whatever. I had like a half sleeve at the time, I think, or something, and I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. He takes a picture of me, a couple, and he, like, what I thought was jokingly, he's like, this is the cover. And I was 18, I was like, yeah, okay. Like, and I just, like, mind you, I was dressed like such a fucking idiot. Like, first of all, I was wearing a denim skirt, like denim mini skirt.
Is this the Savage picture?
Yeah.
I remember this.
My hair was 3 fucking colors. It was like blonde, red, and black, because I thought I was Christina Aguilera from fucking Dirty or something, but it was short. I had blue eyeshadow on, first of all. Disgusting. I had no eyebrows, because back in the day, you didn't do your fucking eyebrows. You just went with the fucking 3 little hairs that you had. And my Monroe piercing, whatever. Oh my God, so disgusting.
I just love that the old tattoo magazines, it was very interesting. Tattoo magazine.
You know what I remember?
What?
It just came to me. I was wearing a white wife beater with a fucking denim skirt, like pure white trash. And they photoshopped my tank top blue. And I remember seeing it and I was like, oh, that's weird.
I just remember that it was very interesting because the level of professionalism now in photography when it comes to the tattoo industry is leaps and bounds. I remember dude would be sitting there and basically like, it was like a Bigfoot sighting, like,
yeah.
So basically a lot of these dudes that had these tattoo magazines, it was like, do you have money to publish? Do you want to take pictures of people? Okay, boom, here we go. And, you know, those photographers, a lot of good photographers came out. The magazines are much more polished from when we started. But that was your in. And then I remember you shot with a Dangerous Dolly, right? No. The one that would do the shoots that everybody looked like a cupcake with all the... she shot a couple different people. I think she shot you and shot Tattoo Baby, maybe. Were you with the same photographer or no?
I don't remember because it was so long ago.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so, because right after that, after the tattoo magazine thing, I ended up... This is how I actually started modeling. I ended up finding some website.
Mm-hmm.
It was called Pinup No Se Que Pinga.
Mm-hmm.
And this website, back in the... Yeah, pinup fucking stupidbitch.com, whatever. And this website used to pay you to submit photo sets to them.
Okay.
This was pre-Suicide Girls, which
I
I never was, by the way. For the record, I was never a fucking suicide
How come?
girl. They don't pay you. It's bullshit.
Yep.
It's for exposure. It's whatever. It's like, you're thirsty, be a suicide girl. You get to travel. Sometimes they pay you if you win a contest against thousands of other people. Like, whatever. Anyway, next subject.
So you don't like the currency of exposure?
I don't give a fuck.
Okay.
I've exposed myself. Whatever. In all ways.
Waka waka.
So what's it called? You would submit pictures to this website, like let's say a photo set is 40 pictures or whatever, and you start off fully clothed and you end fully nude. And you could take the shittiest pictures of life. Like there was no editing. There was nothing. There was no white balance. There was no changing the color of any fucking photo. There was no skin retouching. Like, this was straight from your shitty ass camera to your computer. Send it to this website. They approve it. They'd send you like $200 or something.
You know, it's really interesting because so you're very all-purpose in this whole thing because you're technically the sound engineer. You do the camera works. You do the setup, and you do all these all the digital work in the back, and you set everything up. Do you find that experience of having to deal with so much crap photography and just like the beginnings of it have kind of made it to the point, because I realize you're very perfunctory with what you put out.
What the fuck does that mean? Perfunctory?
Look it up. It's a good word.
That
I like to use so
no,
we're not all rats, but in other words, like,
just hit me with perfunctory. What does that mean? Like,
it's polysyllabic.
Like,
so in other words,
I'm gonna guess it means like very meticulous.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah. No, but because I do notice it, because it's like this went from being something we spoke about in a week. A week later, you had the spot. A week later, we had the equipment. A week, like this, basically under a month happened. But you're very like,
I guess shit done.
Absolutely no. Hail Mary. That's what
That's what it is. Like, if I say I'm gonna do something, I do it, and like I'll finish it. Like, I cannot. Like, the day I rented out this space, or the day I got the key, whatever, literally the next day it was fully furnished and ready to go. Like, I don't waste time with things I want to do. If I say I'm gonna do something, I do it. I've always been like that. Even as a kid, I've always been like that.
It's good. And, you know, like I said, it was one of those things because I remember the caliber of your work just got, you know, progressively from seeing it from the beginning to see it where it is now.
Well, I mean, technology also has drastically fucking changed because we didn't have the Facetune app, the Face app, Photoshop. We didn't use that.
Like, you don't miss shooting on your sidekick?
I used to love the sidekick.
I miss it. You want to? The only phone that I did not. So here's a funny story. At my tattoo shop, we had at the time I was still an apprentice. We had a guy, John, that he worked at a mobile store. Mm-hmm. So the currency of barter, we had every phone because the guy would be like, hey, so I had phones as strange as the Nokia N-Gage, which was like a game phone that was the most terrible thing in the world. The Razor.
The Razor.
He had everything, but he did not have T-Mobile because he was singular at the time. So I desperately wanted that damn Razor because I felt left out. Everybody was like, oh, what are you doing? Oh, we're talking on AOL, but you can't because you don't have the app and you don't have the phone. And I'm like, oh, man, you know.
Did you ever have a BlackBerry?
Nope.
Me neither.
Nope. Sorry. Not that person. I found them extremely annoying.
Yeah. And everyone who had one thought they were really fucking
because
cool.
You had a BBM, you know? You had that little stupid little BBM messenger. I was like, all right, whatever. I'm sorry. I'm not corporate like that.
I don't need to do that. So
no, yeah.
It just was corny to me.
Yeah. But, it was one of those things. But, you know, getting back to your work, I think it was a combination of, technology got better, but because I've seen people with better technology not be able to have their pictures. You're right about Facetune. But even in the period before, your work was always very polished, I noticed. Like, I never saw anything out that I was like, you know? I mean, like, everybody has their days, you know, granted. I mean,
I've always worked with photographers. Like, the first actual... Okay, so when I used to submit photos to that pinup website, whatever, they would pay. So I would be like, cool, gonna keep submitting. Because I'm making money for taking pictures. Fuck that. Those pictures were actually taken by my roommate at the time. She found this camera at like a fucking garage sale and we would play around in my house. Like we'd play dress up. I was 18. We used to rent like this townhouse in Hialeah or whatever. I had a pool table, of course. And we would like shoot on the pool table, in the shower, in the fucking whatever. Like we would create like little sets and submit them to this website. And the website actually recommended a photographer to me. The first photographer I ever shot with, her name was Samantha Gus. And she used to do a lot of, there's a fucking gnat in here.
Take a shot.
Take a shot every time we smack a gnat. It's the game on the podcast. Her name was Samantha Gus, and I went to her house. She lived up north, like kind of in this area, I guess, whatever. And no, further north a little bit.
Yeah. And
we shot. And they were like, just go to her house. She'll help you, whatever. And that was like my first shoot with an actual photographer. And then I started submitting those pictures to that website. And then from there, I joined Model Mayhem.
I remember that. Yeah.
And met other photographers and whatever. And like throughout the years, I kind of like would shoot with whoever wanted to shoot and whoever took good photos and was down to like do something on a collaborative effort. But now I stick to like my same 3 fucking people.
Yeah, that's interesting because out of everybody, I've noticed that there is a particular trend. Out of everybody you've worked with, who are some of your faves? I'm not really going to get into the whole like who don't you like because that's just going to open a bad door. But who?
Honestly, there's no photographer I've ever met that I don't like. The only one experience I've had in the fucking 19 years I've been doing this shit is that I was going to go to a shoot with some guy. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, we'll be there in an hour. And the guy was like, what do you mean we? And I was like, my friend's coming with me. Yeah. I've never met him. Like, and he was like, no, we're not shooting if you're bringing someone. And I was like, that's fucking weird. Okay, then I guess we're not shooting. And then we didn't. He's a great photographer. I've never seen, I've never heard anything bad, whatever, but I was like, fuck off. Like, that's fucking weird. Like, why can't my friend sit in a corner, help me with some behind the scenes videos or whatever the fuck, like, whatever. But my 2 favorites, I have 3 favorites.
Go.
I don't shoot with my 3rd favorite very often. Orangutan is one of my all-time
I was gonna
favorites.
say, yeah.
His work is
very cool.
Incredible. He's just an artist to me, like,
yeah.
But my top 2, not in any particular order, Michelangelo photography and Erica Nelly. And the reason I love them is because they've become family to me over the years, and we're cool on a friend level. Like,
do you find now that you've been so much in front of the lens, do you have you picked up to the point where you started shooting? Like, have you shot any of your friends? Do you like shooting on like the side? Like, what do you shoot mostly?
I do like shooting. I've done it before. I've done some photo editing and stuff like that. And I have shot models. I've shot Desi Gatto. I've shot Mary Bellavito when she was still shooting, and I've shot models for my vintage store. Okay. So yeah, I would style them in vintage and shoot them.
What's your favorite camera to shoot off of?
I shoot with that one.
Really? So basically Sony?
A7 II, I think it's called. Yeah.
Nice.
I've always shot with that one. Although for video, it's not working out. Sony needs to get it together. I don't know why it has an auto turn off fucking bullshit. It's driving me crazy.
Parallel to high-end photography, do you like doing some more minimal stuff like lo-fi photography, Polaroid, 35 millimeter, disposable? Are you liking that aesthetic when it comes to pictures?
For the art of it, I do like it, but I also feel like for social media, it doesn't translate well. Like, yeah, we can take Polaroids and we can scan them and upload them to social media. I just feel like it doesn't have that. I feel like when people are scrolling through Instagram, they want to see a big, bright photo. Because I've noticed that even if I post a photo that has a slight bit of grain, like just to give it an effect, it gets like way less engagement than a photo that's super clear, crispy, and it's like very bright and colorful. I have a friend, Stock Roll. He takes great Polaroids.
Yeah, he does.
And yeah, I love to shoot with him, and I love shooting Polaroid stuff. I just feel like for the gram, for the art purposes, I love it. For the gram, for fucking TikTok, whatever. It's just, I don't know. I don't feel like people, I don't want to say care, but maybe care, I guess, whatever, about art so much as they do about like what catches their eye when they're endlessly fucking scrolling on a phone all day. Like,
but do you feel like, okay, and that's another good point to bring up. Like, I do realize that that's a thing, but do you feel that it's going to get to the point where creators are more basically jumping through hoops for the gram and not being true to their creative? Like, if it were up to you and it wasn't about social media, like creating on social, would you, let's say, rather be shot on a different medium or have something else going on? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do feel like it limits people's creativity when they're focus so much on social media, but that's what it is now. Yeah. It's not like we're giving a fuck about getting our photos in print on magazines. Like, what's a newspaper? Nobody fucking knows that shit. Like, it's all social media now. It's all internet. So I feel like you kind of have to lean toward what you know is going to sell, or what you know is going to get views or engagement or followers or listens or whatever it is. Like, there has to be, not that I agree with it, but there has to be that now, because everything is fucking social media.
So in the middle of this, your modeling career is blowing up. You're still working with Leo, right? In the like where we left off last speaking. So you're, and at one point did you realize it was like, all right, I need to step away from this to devote myself full time? Because you're one of the few people that I know that is a full-time creator. You do this 100%. There is no other thing. When was that point of that schism where you broke off and were like, hey, I got to do this full time?
So I had decided that I didn't want to be a part of the tattoo industry anymore.
Why?
At that time, it was very rare that women worked in tattoo shops. Yeah. Like, rare. So even when I wanted to start tattooing, for instance, it was always a problem every time a customer would come into the shop and it was like my turn, because we would take walk-ins, whatever. We did it by turn, also depending on your skill level, whatever. Like, there would be days where, like, when I was learning, for instance, and it was all big tattoos all day, and the one fucking name that would come in that was I was able to do, the guys would be like, no, you're a girl, like, you don't tattoo, or I don't trust you because you don't tattoo, like, you shouldn't be tattooing, you're a female. And I don't know if this happened to other females in the industry at that time. Again, this was 20 fucking years ago. Like, but to me, I was like, what the fuck? Like, this is annoying to have to, like, prove that I can tattoo your fucking girlfriend's name on your fucking arm, guy. Like, it's not that complicated. And yeah, so I kind of got annoyed with it. I wasn't really making a lot of money as a piercer. You know, most piercers do something else. I guess unless you're like fucking famous or something. But
yeah, you kind of starve as a piercer.
Yeah, like if you're only doing piercing. And then I started managing the shop, which gave me like a salary. But I just got over it. Like it became very daycare-ish to me. I was like I don't know, like I didn't want to take care of grown men. I was tired of cleaning up after them. I was tired of dealing with customers. Like I was tired of all of it. Like it was just annoying, although I still love the tattoo industry, obviously. But for me, I was like, whatever. So I left on great terms with Leo, still my dog to this day. But I left and I got a regular ass fucking job.
Really?
At I mean, I guess it wasn't regular, but I worked at a motorcycle shop selling parts.
Okay.
How I got that job, I don't fucking know. Like, this lady owned it, and she was like, I was like, I need a job. She's like, you want to sell parts? I'm like, sure, teach me. Which wasn't that hard. You look in a book, look up a number, and go to a warehouse and find the number and sell it to the asshole. Same as the tattoo supplies.
Basically, you were doing this, and you know what's funny?
Yeah,
those clientele's apparel. It's the same.
Yeah,
thing.
it was a
It's
bunch
always...
of bikers and a bunch of tattoo art, like whatever.
Yeah.
It's the same shit. And so I was probably there for like a year. Actually, I remember how I got that job. She hired me to model for her shop. I did a little small infomercial for. Damn, now it's all coming back. For
the member berries.
What's it called? A speaker system for jet skis, a waterproof speaker system. So she hired me to do this like infomercial sitting on a jet ski, not in the water, on a trailer, talking about these fucking speakers.
Oh my gosh.
And then from there, she was like, oh, do you want a job? I was like, sure, I need a fucking job. And then that's how she gave me the job. And then she gave me some like modeling opportunities because she needed models on her bikes and whatever. She sold motorcycles and whatever. But I also worked the counter. And then the day that I quit everything and became a full-time creator, I was at a tattoo convention. And I told her that I wasn't going into work because I was going to a tattoo convention. And she was like, if you don't come in, you're fired. I was like, cool, do that. And I went to the tattoo convention, and I don't remember which one it was, but I remember being like inspired by all this art and all this creativity and all this shit, that she ended up calling me while I was there, and she's like, if you don't come in today, you're fired. And I was like, you're not gonna fire me because I quit. I'm gonna model full time. And I remember her being like, yeah, okay, good luck with that. I'm like, yeah, thanks.
And here we are.
I never went back. I never had a job after that, like a regular job. I've never worked for anyone else. Then OnlyFans came around, and
that's what I was gonna ask. I think when was that? That was how many years ago? Because were you an early adapter to the OnlyFans phenomenon, or were you you were like one of the first coming in, right?
That was 19 years ago.
It's that old already?
Yeah. Well, no, not OnlyFans. When I quit, it was like 18 years ago. I've been.
But OnlyFans has been around how long?
No, not 18 years ago. I quit that job probably 15 years ago.
Okay.
OnlyFans came out in, I want to say, like 2005.
So what I was asking was, you
I was one of the first ones.
You were one of the first ones in at OnlyFans, I believe. I mean, you were an early adapter, but more importantly, when you went in, you went in. In other words, knowing the ramifications of what you're doing, the monetization, and it became a thing.
Well, I want to say OnlyFans came out in like 2005.
Yeah.
I remember this because I was living in this little ass efficiency in Hialeah, and I was starting to sell merch.
Okay.
Posters. And OnlyFans actually emailed me, please join our website. We're trying to bring creators onto this site. It's a platform where you can monetize your content. You can sell anything on this. It could be explicit. It could be whatever. And so they asked me to be on it. And I was like, okay, sure, yeah. And I just like signed up. At the time, I wasn't doing any explicit content or any of that shit. I was literally selling photo shoots. Same thing I was doing with that website that I was telling you on OnlyFans. Yeah, I mean, and I would make, I don't know, $800 a month from it, and it was like great for me
at that time, at 2005.
Yeah,
that was great.
So I was doing that, and then just like kind of progressed, and then I've been on it since that long. Since the beginning.
And then parallel to that,
and the ramifications you were asking. At the time, OnlyFans wasn't known how it is now. Like now you say OnlyFans and people are like fucking on camera, masturbating, dildo, whatever. At that time it wasn't that, because it was so fucking new that people were selling workout videos, they were selling pictures and thongs. Yeah. Whatever. Like whatever you fucking wanted, really. So it didn't become like this sexualized thing until like the COVID boom of when everyone joined.
I was about to say, because I do remember there was a point where friends in the tattoo industries would actually have created that to sell, which was back then very taboo. I think it was more taboo than sexy time on OnlyFans, which was like, selling teaching. Because that's what a lot of the people, because there was such a a big vacuum for proper education in that end of the community.
And a lot of people did it too, because during COVID they couldn't work, they were home, like whatever. So you're like, what can I sell on the internet? Everybody joined OnlyFans because you can sell whatever you want on OnlyFans. You can sell ass or you can sell classes. Yeah. So asses or classes.
Yeah, and for both you need glasses. Bam! Did you like that? So, okay. Another thing I wanted to ask you: have you, South Florida is very big with the, it's really funny now because anytime you watch a movie on Pornhub, the background is Brickle. And if you notice, it's like either, I remember the phenomenon when I was in the tattoo industry, there was a thing called Dancing Bear. And I remember it was always like, watch this video. One of the girls that's,
in that.
Excuse me? Yeah. So were you ever approached by that side of the industry to put content up like that, or were you ever did someone ever try to recruit you for more adult content, or they kind of gave you your wide berth?
No, I mean no one really ever asked me, hey, you want to fuck on camera? Like, no, not porn stars anyways. People that I dated in the past would be like, let's make videos together, and I was like, I'm okay with that. It was never an interest of mine. I feel like my entire life has been on the internet, so there's just like some stuff I want to keep to myself. But no, I never got approached to do like porn or any of. I mean, I feel like especially with OnlyFans, if you want to get into porn or making pornographic videos, you do that on your own on OnlyFans. Like, you don't have to be a mainstream porn star anymore to film porn and make money. So.
Well, the one positive thing I can say, and not one, there's many. I mean, like, you've monetized, you're doing really cool for yourself with everything you got going on. A lot of creators that are on OnlyFans, I realize that they don't have to deal with that system that is the adult industry, because basically you're your own capsulized, like, you're your own little independent little battleship, making your own thing, which is actually pretty interesting that you don't have to deal with some of the hang-ups on that end of the industry.
Yeah, you can like pick and choose who you want to make videos with. Most porn stars that are mainstream have OnlyFans anyway, so you do it on a collaborative basis. You both sell your content on your own accords and you make your own money, and that's it. Like, I mean, the people that I know that do it, that's the way they do it.
And on a typical day that you're pretty much, you wake up, you go to...
I wake up, I piss excellence.
You do?
That movie?
And you bottle it in, $3.99 an ounce?
$3.99 a bottle.
There you go. So that's pretty much what you do as far as, like, you wake up, you do your routine, and then because you're an all-nighter. You're up at like, I'll be like coming home from, the studio and you're up.
I'm up. Yeah. Yeah. My sleep schedule is pretty bad. I've been trying to get better with sleeping a little bit earlier. By that, I mean, like, I want to be asleep by 2 a.m. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. Tonight it's not happening. I'm staying up tonight because I'm going to edit all this
fun stuff.
And like just get it out of the way. What was your question? My day-to-day?
Well, yeah, like, for example, I know that when we interviewed Desi, she
How
says...
did this turn into, like, an interview?
You've never asked me. You haven't asked me a question.
Well, I know. I was like, well, okay.
Go. I've asked a lot.
Yeah. Like,
okay, go.
We went. Not that I have a problem answering any of this, but we went. First of all, guys, we're doing this like unscripted. When we have guests on, we have like a list of things we want to ask people and like kind of the order in which we're going to ask it so that the conversation flows a little bit easier. And we were like, for the 4th episode, we're just going to sit down and talk to each other and introduce you guys to us in case you don't know who we are. And we kind of wanted to do a recap on the first 3 episodes.
So, and on the heels of what you said, yes. So I think we might do this as a 2-part, like in other words, the you and I type thing, mm-hmm. and then now pretty much run into, because we are on the 4th episode, mm-hmm. and it's been an interesting ride because our first episode was Desi,
mm-hmm.
Desi Gatto, which was a very. How did you two meet?
I met Desi at a shoot. Michelangelo Photography used to shoot with her a lot, and we met at a shoot. And we've been.
I like that episode. It was actually pretty interesting to see what else she has going on. And
I love Desi. I think she's such a hard worker, and she's such an intelligent person and a good person.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything fake about her. Like, you can't really say that about a lot of people.
Not only that, but I also find that she was very easy to talk. I feel like one of the things that I always think about, I'm apprehensive. I'm like, oh man, are we gonna have to be pulling some stuff out of people? And she was very, go with the flow
mm-hmm.
kind of person. I don't
think we've had that with anyone so far that we've had. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that there's gonna be times
that one episode
quiet,
or that guy that just got a little too scared and got a little too high and is gonna sit in the corner.
Or they answer in one word or something.
Oh,
it's gonna be tough.
No, boy.
And then we just turn it into ASMR.
Microphone. Wait, that's actually pretty good. Wait.
Right?
Microphone.
Welcome. All right.
We should. Okay, we're meandering on that. So we had Desi. Desi was definitely a good show. A lot of cool insights into what she has going on, what she's going further off of her career. Another one who I am very impressed at the fact that I take a lot of this at very much face value because I'm used to it. It's like, oh, you just jump on the screen, but there's so much behind it. I mean, even how, she was teaching us a little bit about the equipment as well. And, so that was actually really interesting. And then we had El Caballo.
El Caballo 305 was our 2nd episode.
Yeah.
I mean, I've met him before, so I knew how he is in person. I knew that it was going to be controversial. I knew that he would say things that might ruffle some feathers.
He's interesting though. I mean, I had a genuine some people will ruffle your feathers and speak out of a place where you're like, where are you coming from? But he was very acute with a lot of the things that he said. He was very particular. It made sense.
Yeah.
You may not agree with it, but it made sense.
Yeah. Definitely well spoken. Definitely knows how to. I feel like we were talking with him about how he gets censored, and I feel like because of all of that, he's learned to still get his message across in what he believes in without necessarily offending people out loud. There's an art to being able to tell people to fuck off, and this is what I think, without actually telling them to fuck off.
I think it's called the art of subtlety, and he has gotten to the point, I think, because if you watch a lot of his earlier stuff where he's very wide open, which is great. I mean, it's actually really nice artistically, and in any field of the art, it's actually really nice to be able to see the evolution of an artist. You know, that's why early work from artists is so sought after. With him, I remember some of the stuff where I was like, this is borderline coarse. I'm to the point I'm like, you still watch it though, because it's what is he going to do next? Mm-hmm. And now having this, this conversation with him, from that show, and I was like, wow, you're actually, I'm very interested in what you have to say, and it's going to be interesting that episode to see how people react to it, because I think he's such a polarizing personality. So either you love him or you hate him. I don't feel that there's an in between. But at the same time, I'm almost feeling like if you give it a chance and listen to it, you may walk out with something that either you didn't know or you might like. And I think that's actually pretty cool.
The reason that, I wanted to start this podcast was to give other people a platform to literally say whatever the fuck they want, because I've been censored for so long as well, and banned and blocked and muted and fucking whatever.
But I don't understand.
That I'm like, okay, y'all are gonna think that you're gonna get me to shut the fuck up. Watch me start a podcast and curse like a sailor and tell you what I think about your bullshit opinions. And if you want to argue, we could argue. So
where do you think that do you think it's a particular, like, I'm a tinfoil hat conspiracist. I'll be like, yeah, there's someone sitting sweating in a room, like, every time you post something, like, flagging it? Or do you think
I believe that. Well, okay.
Or do you think more it's just at this point it's just a robot?
I think it's AI. I think maybe it's some sort of system where they're like, if anything has the shape of a butt, flag it. I've been flagged for being fully clothed if what I'm wearing is skin tone color. So, yeah, it's probably some fucking robot AI shit that's like, oh, this is a lot of beige. This person must be naked. Like, whatever. So tell everyone about yourself. You're a tattoo artist. You're an artist. You do some consulting.
A little bit. I started in the tattoo. I was in the tattoo industry. I've taken a very interesting time right now. I spent 2 decades in the tattoo industry. I had a shop for 13 years. I've done my art my entire life. I have that little rabbit that I do. I've done it as murals, as well apparel, tangible merchandise. I've mentored. I've actually apprenticed quite a couple people. I've done consulting. I've done some branding for businesses. So I'd like to consider myself a rounded person in that sense. Now I've taken this post-pandemic. I stepped away from having a shop. I did that about 2 years ago, and now have been more in the field of just working on myself, working on my art, meeting my family in the Dominican Republic. The tattoo industry was a great time, and it had a lot of things.
But you're still tattooing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, no one takes that away from me. It's one of those things, I feel like after a certain point in tattooing, you have the ability to touch a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And you do make some impacts in people, but now I'm more on the side of I'm doing it on my terms, which I feel a lot of artists, regrettably, the tattoo industry, a lot of artists have been exploited in that industry. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And not necessarily in the best way. I mean, like, there's good stories, there's bad stories, but if I notice the common thread, it's a lot of it. And this is going to be a very controversial opinion, but it's a pyramid scheme. It's the guy on top that's making the money. The rest of the guys are basically being slave driven down, and it's an industry where there is no fail safes, there's no dental insurance, there's no health insurance, there's no nothing. I mean, like, you're basically
plans or any of that shit.
Absolutely not. It's basically,
well, it's the same as modeling too. It's like you're on your own.
Yeah. Once you're out, you're out. And when you think you're on top, you're really not, because there's just somebody on top of you. So the industry is going through a very interesting, there's a paradigm shift. It's changing so much, because where areas it was very close and secluded and not for everybody, and I'm sad to know that I was witness to what you spoke about earlier, which was, I remember the shop that I worked at turning down women that later on turned out to be really good artists. Mm-hmm. Or regrettably some of, female artists that would have to prostrate themselves and do, advertise themselves in a way which I know they weren't happy about. I mean, like, there was the stereotype in the tattoo industry back then where it's like, oh, that's a girl in the shop, who's she fucking? Mm-hmm. Or like, oh, you want to get into the shop and, XYZ to get in. And I would be like, this is what I got into.
Not just who is she fucking, or it was also, I'm going to try and fuck her. Like, it was always on some weird creep shit, like, every time. It was never on some, like, talent shit.
No. And it's funny because a lot of the behaviors that when I came out of the tattoo industry, not really came out, when I got away from that environment, I was like, a lot of this shit is not only, like, illegal, super shitty, just lousy. It's not, shit that I'm not proud of. Like, there's times where I was like, oh, what do you do for a living? And I'd be like, I'd have to, like, kind of gauge the person. And it's not that I love what I do, and you know, you can come at me whichever way you want, but it's just the reality of it. And it was a boys club in the beginning. And you know, it kind of sucked, and a lot of the that negative nature, I mean, I regrettably experienced a lot of it, you know. I mean, that's a story for another day, I guess, because there really isn't enough time. But I think, you know,
we're definitely gonna get into like a tattoo talk at some point.
I think we have a lot of good talks, you and I, because you and I have experienced a lot of interesting things, both good and bad, throughout the journey of being an artist and being in the industry. Because it's funny, where you were at one end of the industry, you know, I was at another end, and then parallel both to that, we were creatives in our own right, you with your modeling and your art, and you know, because you do a lot of things a lot of people, I don't know if they realize that you do things outside of modeling. You're curating your vintage work, you know, your spirituality work, and you know, I was always trying to express that within, you know, so it was always like keeping it real, I guess, like, do I stay with my tattoo, do I stay with my art? And after a while, it's like there was always those two wolves fighting inside of me.
Yeah, but you gotta, I mean, I think you have to find the way that you can combine everything, because it's all part of you at the end of the day. Like, it's the same shit people tell me, like, how are you a tarot reader and you do OnlyFans? I'm like, why the fuck not? What difference does that make? Like, because
they don't have man, I'm
like, y'all are not fucking and going to church on Sunday. Like, you're not fucking after the club, fulanito that you just met drunk as fuck, and then you still go to church. And what? I think
what's what
the
it
difference?
Is. You want to know what it is? Because there's always a dick. And then I'll tell you what I mean by that. There's always some guy...
dick.
Because you want to know what it is? There's always a dick. And it's not necessarily a person. In my case, you know, there's been various dicks. But in your case, it's just like overall, because there's always people that are either wagging a finger or telling you what to do. And then the moment you realize, like, the most freeing thing, it's like the easiest, hardest thing to do, which is really like just being like...
Yeah.
And that's it. And when you get to that certain point, you know,
but you have to truly get to that point in your mind where you're like, fuck you, and I truly don't care. Because there are a lot of people that are like, I don't give a fuck what they think about me. And you do.
I think it's human nature,
and you still do. And so it's still going to bother you. So anytime someone says anything that offends you slightly, it's still going to fucking eat at you inside. And you're going to constantly replay it in your head. Like, you truly have to get to that point of being at peace with yourself and your decisions, and whether good or bad, whatever the fuck you've done in your past. Like, you have to get to that point where you're like, whatever, man, I did it. It is what it is. Like, I'm me, and fuck everybody else. And people are always gonna fucking love you or hate you anyway. So do whatever the fuck. I
think that's the main thing. And you know, like, you were asking me about me. So like I said, I'm at in this very interesting space right now, where it's kind of like a little bit of everything. I think post-pandemic, everybody got a really taste of, like, a real big taste of, you may die within 48 hours, you may die within a week, and everybody around you, like, the world flipped upside down. And I think with that, we started exploring new, you know, like, stay home at work, which now everybody's trying to repeal.
People had to use their brains to entertain yourself, or your body, to entertain yourself, to make money, to figure out a business, to figure out your future if you survived COVID, and whatever. Like, you had, it was no longer, I mean, unless your job made the transfer over to working from home or whatever. Like, some businesses did that, but it became to the point, it brought everyone to the point where you're no longer able to wake up, wash your face, drive to your fucking 9 to 5 and live your routine. You had to figure it out. And you're lucky if you didn't get laid off from your job at that point and then really had to fucking figure it out. Like, you had to use your brain during COVID.
Well, not only that, I mean, like, and those are very valid points, but it became one of those things that people changed.
Yeah, people just said it was the collective awakening. Correct.
And there's people that just did not give a fuck, in a good way and in a bad way. And, you know, post that, I think that was the biggest... I really got to a point where, you know, walking away from tattooing in a shop and owning a shop was... That's, like I said, for another day, where that was something that was more forced upon me than I would have liked it to be. But then walking away from a shop was something where I'm like... fuck this. Like, I'm not... Do I really want to put up with... Now I'm seeing the side of it that is the side I haven't seen for almost 13 years, which was being back as just an artist at a place that I helped start right from the beginning. And when I saw the way I was like, why am I doing this? Like, this is not.
And it's when you have that realization of like, wait, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah.
You still have doubt because you're like, wait, but then what do I do after this?
Oh no, there was like,
this fucking gnat me tiene mal.
No, but kill it so people can take a
it
shot.
It doesn't stop flying.
It's interesting, and like I said, like on the good side is like I really got to focus on like something that I'd not done in a long time, which is really like focus on enriching myself, focus on my art, reaching out, like having a conversation. I mean, like just being able to have a dialogue with the individuals that really mattered, because regrettably, I believe, and I'm gonna speak for you, and you know, maybe you can say it's true or not. When you do something in the realms of what we both do, there's a lot of really fake people around you. And, you know, not only that, you have to like cater to these fake people. And then when you're away, or when you don't matter to them, or they can't monetize you in any way, you kind of fall off and you disappear. So it's like you have this veil lifted of like, this is who I want to be around. This is who's really supporting me or my art, which is what's important, you know? And I think that's a big deal, at least to me. And it's been a very cool period because like I said, I love my art. I'm getting to love what I did for such a long time for me, not just being, masturbatory about it, where I'm just like, oh, I have to do this, dance monkey dance. No, it's on my terms now. And, traveling is the best medicine. I tell this to everybody. I've been discovering where I'm from, which I've, hadn't been since I was a child.
People don't realize that when you're like working in tattoo shops, not that we're gonna get into this too deeply because this is gonna be for another episode.
Yeah, absolutely.
But when you're working in a shop, you're there every fucking day.
Your life,
you're there from open to close. There's no, especially in the old school shops, whatever. Yeah. There's no shifts. There's no fucking what. You'll maybe have a day off, and what do you do on that day off? You're fucking restocking your supplies. You're trying to like have lunch with your mom.
Yeah.
Like whatever. Other than that, you're in the shop from open to fucking close every day. Like you end up borderline living there. Like I remember having changes of clothes in the shop. Same. Like in case I was going out at night. We had video game systems in the tattoo shop for the slow days that we wanted. I would take my laptop and get work done, like editing photos.
We would
whatever.
Sleep in the shop sometimes because we were overworked, and it was one of those things that it's like the level of burnout that has the visibility, because back then the culture was like suck it up or do more drugs so you can survive more. Yeah. And it was one of those things that you now especially, and even back then, I'm like, yo, this homie drank the Kool-Aid. Like he swears up and down that like this is there was people that their personalities were that if they didn't have that, So I think getting away from all that and seeing things, and more importantly, you asked me about me, I just got to a point where I was like, hey, look, there's a lot more. And I think I saw that a lot more with your work when, because there was a period where we'd have our brief interactions with, buying supplies, and we'd see each other out sometimes, especially at conventions. And then there was this point where people literally, there was a whole, go do it.
In the mic.
Got it.
No. Son of a bitch.
Did I get it?
No. This one's quick.
Yeah, it was a little.
Quick as fuck.
Yeah. So
I'm fast as fuck, boy. That's
you already know. So I remember there was the you that I knew, and then there was the you that people thought they knew of you, which was the weirdest thing.
Which is still a thing.
Yeah, I'm like, oh well, this, that, and the other. I'm like, how do you come again? I'm sorry. Who are you speaking about? Mm-hmm. Or my favorite thing, and it's not the nicest thing because it's a very shady thing, but I'm a shady motherfucker.
In a shady ass place.
Yeah, Miami's a sunny place for shady people,
there's no real plants in here, Tito. He said one of your plants must have rot.
No,
it's just a thing.
It's our thing.
The building has.
We're sweet and we attract. Para decirte lo siguiente, I remember someone talking a gang of shit about you.
Who?
Huh?
Who?
Some chick at a show, just a random. Oh, you know that girl? Oh, blah 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 blah.
Try to say my face.
I go, oh yeah, really? Oh, how do you know her? I go, that's my really good friend. That's Vany. Yeah, like we know each other from back then. And I think I might have even waved at you, type shit. Like.
Oh, I was there.
Oh yeah. And that person's face turned. And they did that. You know that weird walk, the backwards walk. Yeah.
Disappeared into a bush really slowly.
Yeah, the Homer Simpsons.
Homer Simpson.
Yeah.
I don't understand how so many people.
The penguin sex after walk where you have your pants around your ankles.
Trying to just get to the bathroom to clean your fucking boil full of. Anyway, I don't know how.
You don't sit there like you don't do the throw a towel on me. You're not one of those.
I'm like throw me a baby wipe.
You don't have you don't have courtesy drawer. You don't have courtesy drawer in your whatchamacallit?
No.
Bro.
Just like go to the bathroom, bring me a wipey.
Cool, hold on. Anyway, we
went off.
Yeah.
Oh, tangent. What I was saying is like I don't understand how so many people
hated
from
your
what
guts.
I've heard and still hate me. Never met me a day in my fucking life. Hate me because I walked by her one time at a Target and she looked like such a bitch. Okay, first of all, you ain't paying for my motherfucking face filler, bitch. So I'm not gonna walk around like this, like a fucking weirdo, smiling for no reason by myself. Like, look at these razors. I'm gonna get these
my
to
favorite,
shave later. Like, what the fuck? Who?
Did you ever have I had one where it was like I was at a party and I was there with a friend of mine and he's like, well, we're gonna have to leave now. And I'm like, why, dude? We just got here. Oh, you see that guy over there? He wants to kick your ass because you tattooed his girlfriend or you hollered at her. I'm like, my guy, my job is to talk to women and to talk to people. Like, why doesn't he take a number?
It's customer service.
Yeah, bro.
Like, so, what in the fuck?
But I had an answer for people like that because the more they were like that, the more I'm like, oh, you think that of me? Now I'm going to make you sweat. Now I'm going to give you everything to worry about. I'm not going to act on things because, number one, I don't have the testicular fortitude nor the penile length. You know, I'm like, who the fuck? Like, seriously, do you remember that? I mean, does that happen with you? I love
that. Testicular fortitude or the penile length.
Well, think about it like this. Can you imagine?
I'm going to use that from now on.
Watch this.
Trademark Rabbits305.
10 fucking girls swear you're fucking... You'd have to have your vagina retread every other month if you were dicking down everybody that swore up and down, you know, and the same thing would happen to me. I'd be like, yo, my guy, like, you know, your girl ain't that hot.
Yeah. And it's not your fault she wanted the tattoo right on her butthole. So
I mean, like, we had one of those. I'll never forget that day.
We're going to get into that episode soon enough of old
we have to do that episode
stories. Just exchanging stories,
bullshit shop stories and convention stories, because I think that's going to be its own little thing. But either way, I mean, like, I think everything happens for a reason, because I had been for a long time wanted to do something to collaborate with you, and we'd always like thrown shit around, and it was always like, yo, we talk shit, and we were like, yo, let's do some shit talking. And then, you know, I think if the events hadn't happened beforehand, we wouldn't both be like at that level of aligning at this particular like junction of being like, hey, you know, we can do this now. We can like do this.
Like, we have the time.
Yeah.
We stopped giving a fuck.
A flying fuck,
yeah. A flying single fuck.
Yeah, so...
yeah.
And that's a good thing, because now you guys get to witness it, and then we are, you know, getting this going for you, and we actually have some cool episodes. Who's actually our next guest coming up? Do you wanna kind of sneak peek it, or they're gonna have to find out?
Yeah, it's gonna be a surprise.
Yeah. So
for now, we hope you guys enjoyed the first 3 episodes.
Most definitely. This was our 4-episode recap.
Maybe every like 4 we should have a little recap.
I think so too.
Chit-chat.
We can talk some shit and then have a recap, and I think that might be a good formula.
Tito
and then we'll
says,
do
I love this so much. Tito's gonna be a guest.
Absolutely.
He wants to be all up in the chat right now, like, I'm next. Answer your text, motherfucker. Don't even come here acting like I haven't been texting you all week. Is that Tito is a TikTok gamer now. Okay. So he's literally video gaming all day. So he's like, sorry, bitch, streaming. Like, yeah, answer your text. Look at him. I'm fucking next, pendeja. Yeah, okay. You're next. Dale, text me the fucking day, guy. You're here. You're in it. We're in it.
All right. So I think it's been a good one.
Yeah.
What are you going to do now?
Fun. Eat.
Yeah, that's actually a good thing.
I'm starving.
Yep.
I'm starving. But
all right, everybody.
Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for joining in on the Twitch. Make sure on the YouTubes. Make sure you guys subscribe to all the channels. We're on YouTube, Rumble, Spotify. Hopefully soon Apple Podcasts. If someone wants to help me out with that, help a bitch.
Let's do AM radio soon. Let's get like one of those pirate broadcasters so we can take over a signal.
You gotta have like the fucking... like, now Tito's texting me. Yeah, fuck you. Fuck you.
There you go.
What's it called? Yeah, all of that. Social media, Rabbits305.
There you go.
Official Vany Vicious. Thank you guys so much for listening on Spotify. We appreciate you. See you all next time.
Good night.